Lunaverse, Episode 13, by Grassy Clouds number 2, Carrot Top Season. Chapter 3, Carrot Top and the Ponyville Farmers. I call this meeting to order! Carrot Top was standing behind a podium in a small conference room at Town Hall. About 20 other pony farmers were crowded around the conference table, representing most of the non-apple farming groups in the area. Green Gray, who intended to wind up as the spokespony for these farmers, was sitting in front of and looked attentive. Most of the farmers, in fact, looked interested in what Carrot Top was going to say. A few of the more sullen and disagreeable ones, Boxy Brown and Red Onion in particular, were slouching near the back and appeared to be bored, but that was only to be expected. The other elements weren't there. Freight Darts had a late shift on the weather patrol. Shirley had a late parent-teacher conference with Filthy Ritz. Lyra and Bonbon already had plans, and so had Ditsy and Dinky. The latter four probably would have rescheduled and gone out to support Carrot Top had she pushed, but she wasn't going to impose like that on them. Trixie had been available, but half of the ponies in the room didn't like the show mare, so Carrot Top decided against inviting her.
But it's all right, she told herself. This is a business proposal. It's fair to all parties involved and makes good business sense, so I should have no trouble getting them all to sign on. I just need to be confident and present it well and...
But thoughts were like that would have to wait. It was time to begin.
All right, said Carrot Top. I'm here to present a proposal.
You're here to beg for our help? Called out Red Onion. Because you realize the apples are going to kick your flank from here to Stalingrad?
Carrot Top paused.
Actually, no. I'd like to make a proposal that will, I think, be advantageous for all of us.
Green Grape braved a hoof on gesture.
All of us have farms that require infrastructural work. Laying new irrigation pipes, mending broken fencing, rearranging fields, but these jobs require such a large initial investment that we can't afford to ever get started, and, of course, this upsets us more and more, because without the latest equipment, or even working equipment in some cases, our daily chores take longer and longer, and we fall further behind. Furthermore, most of the grants and work projects that are run in the Ponyville area tend to go to the apples instead of us, so we can't rely on government help. However, just as most of us offer discounts to vendors who buy in bulk from our farms, a lot of the companies that offer the maintenance and expensive supplies we need will also offer discounts if we buy enough at once. If we were all to, say, buy the newest irrigation system and have it laid at once, we could do it together and save a substantial amount of money.
We know, said Banana Split. Every year there's a few of us who always try to get every pony together to do a bulk purchase, but there's never enough farms with the bits on how to actually do it.
Carrot Top continued on.
True, that's usually how it goes. But let's say my farm does well in the farm competition. That'll bring in a lot of bits. As it seems to be tradition for Ponyville teams to give back 1/4 of their winnings to the community, I was thinking that if my farm wins any money, a quarter of the prize could be used for infrastructure projects like irrigation and fencing for our farms. Then we'd all be better off, and the money would grow further because we'd be buying equipment at bulk rates.
No, what do you want from us? Asked Grape. We appreciate your generosity, but we were just going to donate money to us. You wouldn't have to call this meeting.
Carrot Top's voice was clear and businesslike.
As Red Onion mentioned, it would be difficult for me alone to win over the Apple Trust teams or the big farms for other villages. They have access to expensive ingredients, equipment, and experts that I don't. But if we pulled our resources, such as produce and equipment, I'd have a better chance to win, and then we all have a better chance of getting new equipment.
Grape held a hoof.
If I understand this correctly, you would like us to donate some of our produce to you, which you will also use to help do well in the farm competition. Then upon your return, should you have won money, you'll spend 1/4 of it on general improvement projects on our farms. Is that the deal you are proposing?
Well, yes.
There were murmurs, but Grape silenced them with a quick glance.
And hypothetically, suppose you were to lose regardless, then we would be out the cost of whatever we gave you and have nothing in exchange.
Carrot Top paused. This was the hard part.
In that event, yes.
The total effect would be that you and the apples would be no worse off, while we all would have suffered a financial loss.
That's great.
You are asking us, essentially, to gamble on your success.
It's not a big financial outlay,
said Carrot Top as quickly as you could.
Nothing like restaurant levels quantities of food. Even if I make it all the way to the finals, I'll only need to present 12 dishes or so. 12 plates of food, and the bulk of it has to be carrots, which I grow anyway. You will stand to gain a lot more than you would invest.
Yes, but you would also need practice making the dishes. You may try several things before selling on your final menu, and, please do not take offense, you've never done this before. You may damage or otherwise lose your ingredients through accidents in storage, transportation, cooking, and thus need to obtain more. It's quite possible you'll need large quantities of our produce to have a good chance of competing,
said Grape. Carrot Top nodded. Grape had valid points, as he wasn't going to pretend otherwise. Only to show, rather, why those points were outweighed by her own.
I understand that it's a gamble, but it's also a huge opportunity. Does any party in this room have an irrigation system newer than 15 years old?
No hose went up.
It's no wonder we can't compete with the apples. They have new low-water systems that are specifically calibrated to only use exactly as much water as needed, no waste. They also have new plows from Nahon that are twice as easy to move as anything I have. For that matter, they also have brand new fence with animal warding spells. Me, I just have a regular fence, and every day I have to chase rabbits.
There were chuckles.
If you support me, and I win, we'll be able to dramatically improve our farms, and you'll be getting a fourfold return.
Yeah, that's a big if,
said Boxy.
Even with my cherries, you don't have a shot. And you'd be going up against some of the larger farms in Equestria,
yelled Red Onion.
The apples aren't the only ones with a huge company behind them. And even if it was just the apples, they have political connections,
said another pony, a salmon-colored one that Carrot Top didn't know.
And they'd be a bunch of judges.
Hang on,
called Lily. Secret flowers, edible and otherwise, and was one of Carrot Top's friends.
Carrot Top's an element. The judges might like her because of that.
Carrot Top blushed. She was trying not to bring politics into this, especially given what the Fun Fun brothers were trying to do. But a few of the judges did decide they wanted to support an element. Well, there was nothing she could do about that.
I'd like to hope that the judging will be based on the food, not political considerations.
Red Onion burst into laughter. Carrot Top flushed, but didn't say anything else. She didn't think there would be much of a point.
I see the risk we're taking, but what's the risk to you?
Asked Banana Split.
Or put it another way, why shouldn't one of us sign up and do this?
The risk to me is that, if I'm doing this, I'm probably going to have to spend all week working on it, said Carrot Top. Because Green Grape is right. I haven't done this before, and I won't be able to tend my farm much. I don't have the money to hire farmlands. So, yes, that's going to hurt me. Win or lose. That's my risk.
Split nodded thoughtfully.
Fair enough.
A few ponies looked at Grape, who had shut her eyes. She seemed to be thinking hard. Carrot Top forced herself to appear calm, but she still felt extremely nervous. A yes or no for Green Grape would mean the difference between having a chance and...
Well, ain't this a cozy little man?
Every pony turned to see Applejack walking in through the conference room doors.
I could barely believe my ears when I heard the Carrot Top had called on y'all to help her in the competition. That y'all came running. Still hard to swallow, even though I'm seeing it right here.
Grumbly, Applejack sounded hurt and betrayed.
After all my farm's done for this here town, for all of y'all in particular, how could y'all do this?
Done for us.
Banana Split frowned.
What do you mean? What have you ever done for us?
There ain't one of you here who hasn't had a bad harvest some year who didn't come to us to beg apples just to survive through the winter. And we always sold them to you. Could just look the other way. But y'all are our neighbors, and we helped you, no matter how bad your situation was.
And our situations are bad because of your predatory business tactics,
said Grape in a crisp, clear voice.
I ain't gonna apologize for running a successful business, or for attaining the resources I need to weather any kind of disaster.
Applejack had almost reached the podium by this point. Her voice took a harsh undertone.
This town exists because of Sweet Apple Acres and the Trust. Our tax revenues fund more government services than any other business. The apples feed more ponies and more food than any of the three of y'all combined. Y'all in this town need us, and that means you'll need to have money and equipment to continue producing apples even after a fire, flood, or parasite attack.
Just silent for a moment.
But y'all know what I know that. So you just can't see why you're backstabbing us, trying to take us down. We'll hurt yourselves just more than us.
I'm not trying to take you down, cried Carrot Top. I'm just trying to compete and...
Come on, Carrot Top. You gotta know by now the odds are against you. All your competing is gonna do is gonna make it harder for the apples.
Applejack glared at Carrot Top.
If the apples go under, this town goes with it. Hey, if Trust goes under, Equestria will be in real bad shape. So if you have any respect or capacity for any other pony, let it alone and stop interfering.
You aren't going to go under if you don't win this competition,
yelled Carrot Top, exasperated.
Besides,
said Grape, now looking very annoyed,
Even if your farm fails to place, they will have no effect on the overall trust finances.
You can't know that! Either of you! Farmers are precarious, and the trust is just a collection of farms. Well, if it has a bad year, we're a pretty big part of it. It could need our help at some point. If we don't have this money, maybe we can't help them as much. Applejack scowled.
Carrot Top guessed it would be pointless to try explaining the size of the trust to Applejack.
Are you really asking me to drop out of the competition?
What I'm asking is for you, all of you, to remember is what we do is how foul we are. I want you to remember how much money we brought in, how many government grants, how many of y'all we personally fed in lean times.
She let her gaze drift from farmer to farmer.
I want you to think of how you feel if I supported some pony when she was in a real pickle, helped you pick the dust off, and she went right over to your rival and started to ruin you.
Her gaze fell on Green Grape.
I want you to think about how all that, then do the right thing. Let the trails continue to support Equestria and Ponyville. It don't make it hard for us to bring home the money. We need to do it right.
She turned to Carrot Top. Just let the things go back to the way they usually are, okay?
Carrot Top flushed. We don't owe you an easy victory, and one loss wouldn't hurt the trust anyway. Well, she said slowly, who here would like the things to stay exactly the way they are? Who's perfectly content with the state of agriculture in Ponyville?
There was silence for a moment. Then Green Grape showed up. She looked incensed, but her voice was clear.
Carrot Top, I apologize, but I'm not willing to donate some unknown amount of produce to you on the mere chance you will win sufficient prize money to make the investment worthwhile. While I wish I could afford such an outlay, it's simply not possible at the moment.
Carrot Top lowered her head. Green Grape spoke for most of the ponies in the room. She wasn't going to help. That was it for the plan.
But, huh?
Carrot Top looked up again.
I will sell you grapes, raisins, wine, and any other food my farm can produce, of equal value to the irrigation system you mentioned, at the bulk rate covering my entire farm. I will let you delay payment for 2 weeks. You do not need to pay until 1 week after the competition, at which point you will receive any forthcoming prize money.
That's the same, began Carrot Top. But it wasn't. Because under this deal, Carrot Top would be obliged to buy the town's irrigation system, whether she won any money or not. Green Grape's gaze was not unkind, exactly, but it was stern.
Carrot Top, if you were not certain of this victory, you had no business asking for our donations in the first place.
Carrot Top didn't know what to say. She wasn't even sure she disagreed with Grape exactly, but it was such a big risk.
Are y'all insane?
Applejack started to stare at Grape.
See no place high, so owe tens of thousands of bits!
Before Carrot Top could figure out a response, Bayonet split rose.
I will agree to the same deal as Green Grape.
Carrot Top did the math exactly. If she won her place well, she'd be fine. Better than before, actually, because she'd get to keep some of the prize money. If she lost, she would almost certainly have to sell the farm to pay off the debt. She had nowhere near enough money to buy the town's irrigation system outright, and her friends couldn't possibly get her enough.
I'll make the deal.
Me too.
In fact, depending on the market, the farm might not even cover that kind of bill. It was an old farm, hadn't been maintained as well as it should have been. Carrot Top could easily see a realtor managing to give her a fraction of what it was worth. She could end up both homeless and drowning in debt.
Me three.
Red Onion was staring at Applejack with ugly fury.
Yeah, me four. Kick this idiot's flanks and Tatara's back, okay?
This was getting ridiculous. Carrot Top opened her mouth to say that she wouldn't make that deal. But she wasn't going to raise her farm on this competition. Bad enough she had to trim back her time in the fields to design and prepare the recipes. But if she did this, she could be as homeless as in little 2 weeks. But, Carrot Top again, I don't...
What? So you want us to give us your produce even though you can't win? Demanded Boxy Brown. Is that it?
No,
Green Grape rose.
I think we all agree, excepting Applejack.
Does everybody agree to sell Carrot Top the produce and wait 2 weeks for payment?
Aye!
Carrot Top, think for a minute. Applejack looked flustered. All this is going to do is take down both of us. Dang it! I don't know if you've got some vendetta against me or what, but this ain't worth it. It's not about you, thought Carrot Top.
We all agree then.
Grape turned back to the Carrot Top farmer. Will you take this deal? Carrot Top could see the town farms with new, working irrigation systems. She could see their crops flourishing, growing better, and with less effort. The farmers could put their extra hours into taming new land, growing new crops, fixing up their dilapidated farmhouses. They could even spend more time with their families and friends. She saw the power of the Apple Trust checked, however slightly, with one of their advantages erased. She saw the farm still alive in a few years. Alive and flourishing. She also saw herself homeless,
forced to accept Greengrass' help lest she wind up freezing under the bridge. But then again, who was she to weigh herself against something every farmer in there desperately needed? If she did take this chance, they all continued dying slow deaths to the apple trust. Within 15 years, they'd all probably be bankrupt anyway. It wasn't about being Applejack or taking down Sweet Apple Acres. It was about keeping the rest of the farms afloat.
I'm too generous for my own good. But to give away my farm.
But she couldn't do anything else. It was just who she was. And so, knowing, as he said, how stupid it was he was being, knowing she was probably signing over her own fate to his nose, she said,
I'll do it. If you'll get me those ingredients, then 2 weeks from today, win or lose, I'll fund a modern irrigation system for every farmer in here that doesn't have one.
Not only excludes Sweet Apple Acres, but Carrot Top felt it was important to make the distinction.
I'll calculate out what it'll cost for each of your farms, and you'll provide me with that value of produce for this week. And I'll try to win the competition!
There was silence. Then Green Grape started to drum her hose in the ground applause.
3 cheers for Carrot Top!
Yelled Blind Spit.
I'm doomed.
Carrot Top farmer thought. Hi. Carrot Top looked over. She had just let say halt and was wandering around the village. She wanted nothing more than to go home and hide, but she couldn't, because some pony was talking to her. She turned to Applejack. The apple farmer was looking at her and almost seemed concerned. Why did you do that? She asked. You realize they're all waiting for you to fail now, right?
What? Why?
If you win, they get new equipment. And if you lose, they get it anyway, and you go bankrupt, so they got one less competitor. Carrot Top froze.
We don't think like that, she said quietly. Why, do you?
No! No, of course not! Applejack shook her head.
You just bet your farm to try to bite me. Carrot Top, how did I do something to make him mad? Was this a grudge? Applejack, I'm not out to hurt you or steal your apple acres or the trust. Honest, I just want to win that prize money, said Carrot Top, feeling very weary. I need it. And the other farmers need the irrigation system too.
Applejack's face showed she didn't believe her. Look, I wish I could buy that irrigation system for the town myself, but I can't afford to take that much money and stick it outside the farm. It ain't gonna do nobody any good if I spend the money on some big charity project to go bankrupt, because then the farm ain't around to help the town anymore. Carrot Top didn't say anything. Look, if you lose, I'll give you a good offer on your farm, okay? Y'all can stay with us until you find somewhere else to live.
Thanks.
It was practically no sacrifice at all to the apple farmer, but Carrot Top didn't say anything about that. She knew that, by Applejack's standards, this was incredibly generous. But don't think we'll go easy on you. Like I said, we're gonna win. The trust needs this money, and Ponyville needs the trust.
You mean Sweet Apple Acres?
Whatever! However much y'all don't get it, y'all do need us. I can only hope that never comes a time when you find out first hoof, said Applejack. She shook her head. I don't want you to have a crush yet. Honestly, before this whole thing, I kinda liked you. But I gotta protect the ponies that rely on our food. So I'm gonna beat you, Carrot Top, and win this whole thing despite you. And I feel real bad that you could lose your farm for anybody else. But there's more important things at stake out here. I hope you understand.
Fine!
Carrot Top didn't know what to say. Another few moments, and Applejack turned to the left. Carrot Top watched her go. That apple farmer, she knew, would never bet her farm to help other ponies. She'd never get anywhere near that position. If she needed to produce other farms, she found some other way to knock the prices down in negotiations. But again, she was good at that kind of thing. Carrot Top didn't think that way.
I'm too generous, and now it's cost me my farm. Unless I could somehow beat the trust, not just Sweet Apple Acres, but all the trust teams, and also all the others.
Hey, Carrot Top! How did it go?
Carrot Top turned to see Trixie approaching.
It went.
Huh?
Carrot Top stared at the night sky.
It's kind of a long story.
Oh.
Trixie hesitated.
Not well, huh?
That's what I was hoping for. Now I'm under more pressure than ever.
Trixie thought, I'd help you. But usually when I'm under pressure, I just go get some bourbon. And that's obviously not your thing.
Having a drink or two would help her de-stress sounded great to the carrot farmer.
Brilliant idea!
You've been a lot more appreciative of my ideas lately, asserted Trixie. You should enter these things more often. What's the idea now?
Let's go get something to drink at Berry Punches.
Carrot Top began to lead away.
I don't recall that idea.
What sounds on me?
Trixie smiled. Objection withdrawn!